Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. The Niners have made multiple roster moves, and they also lost 3 players to waivers, hence the title right here, Roster Moves Galore. And we talked about this on the show yesterday. Yesterday was the deadline for all teams across the NFL to trim their rosters down to 53 players from 90 following the NFL preseason as you look ahead to Week 1. And then today, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, the waiver claim deadline, as now teams try to tinker with their 53-man rosters and then put together their practice squad. So this is, of course, fluid, and more roster moves are going to come. So you can expect another show later today right here on the Niners Report. And this is why you subscribe to the channel, because when breaking news happens, your boy right here always has you covered. And you can rely on us here at Chat Sports on the Niners Report. That's why we're approaching 140,000 subscribers. So hit that sub button right now for daily content and daily coverage of San Francisco. Niners making a signing to their 53-man roster, and we also theorized that this was going to happen. San Francisco is bringing back tight end Eric Saubert. He did not make the initial 53-man roster for the Niners, but has now been added to the active roster, and immediately right from the jump, he is slated to be the backup tight end behind George Kittle, who last year was actually the only tight end in the National Football League to surpass 1,000 receiving yards. He was a first-team All-Pro, beating out Travis Kelce, and it's not really ideal, in my opinion, that Saubert is the backup tight end to George Kittle, because this tight end room is very thin, and this speaks to the ineptitude of the Niners organization under John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan for not being able to find a legitimate backup tight end behind George Kittle, whether it be in free agency or the NFL draft. They have not been able to fulfill that position with a legitimate pass catcher and blocker. You can throw Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelly out there all you want. I don't think they're legitimate backup tight ends in the National Football League. So 2 tight ends made the Niners' initial 53-man roster: George Kittle, Jake Tonches, and then Eric Saubert now added, and now San Francisco has 3 tight ends on their 53-man roster. And some more thoughts on the backup tight end position. It's not a great backup situation behind George Kittle. If he were to go down, Saubert doesn't have a lot of pass-catching experience. Tonches has none. But from a financial standpoint, Saubert, Tonches, they are cheaper than Ross Dwelly and Charlie Warner would have been. So that's the glass half full positivity approach if you want to go that route. And this is where missing on Braden Willis and Cam Latu during the 2023 NFL Draft comes back to hurt San Francisco. Cam Latu as a 3rd-round pick, awful miss by San Francisco. Braden Willis, a 6th-round pick, you can't call him a bust because the hit rate is like 10% for 6th-rounders, but point here being, San Francisco has really struggled to draft, develop, and even sign a quality backup tight end behind Kittle. And they hit on Kittle in the 5th round of the draft several years ago. For those of you not familiar with Saubert's game, he was a 2017 5th-round pick out of Drake. That's where he played collegiately. Does have some pretty good size, 6'5", 248, a pretty good arm sleeve with the tattoos. That's a positive. This is going to be his 10th NFL team, so he has made a lot of stops, and that's a combination of being on the active roster in addition to some practice squads, and his career high for catches in a single season, only 15. I don't think he's going to have over 15 catches this upcoming season for San Francisco. Let's hope he doesn't, because that would signal that maybe an injury happens to George Kittle, and the Niners don't really like to throw the ball to these 2 tight end sets. Another roster move for San Francisco here. Just the second of a bevy of moves for the Niners on this Wednesday, August 28th. The Niners have signed Tracy Walker, the veteran safety, to the practice squad. Adam Schefter with this news, the ESPN NFL insider. And I thought what he added here was pretty interesting, that not only are the Niners signing him to the practice squad, but it's with the intention of him being called up for Week 1 against the New York Jets. That could be a special teams role. That could be a depth role. I think that San Francisco should have George Odom, Malik Mustafa, Jair Brown active, Talanoa Hufanga potentially. That cannot be ruled out. If that's the case, I would imagine Tracy Walker is playing special teams for the Niners. If he's getting snaps, hopefully it's not at the expense of Malik Mustafa being inactive on game day, because I think that he can help you on special teams and he can get some defensive snaps even as a rookie from time to time. More on Walker. He's 29 years old, hasn't quite lived up to the expectations of being a third-round pick out of LSU by the Detroit Lions. He's 6'1", 206. Does have a lot of experience, though, and that probably goes a long way in why the Niners are deciding to bring him back, as he was with this team throughout the preseason. 79 games, including 43 starts. So he's seen a lot throughout his NFL career. Last year, didn't start a lot of games for Detroit, but saw some decent action, 360 coverage snaps. The Pro Football Focus numbers, not superb. Overall grade of 62.8, run defense grade of 67.7, a pass rush grade of 84.3, a coverage grade sub 60 at 57.8, a passer rating allowed of 123.8. That's not good. No picks, 10.8 yards per catch. And now the safety situation on the Niners' active 53-man roster is as such. Talanoa Hufanga coming off that torn ACL. Not sure if he's going to be active for week 1. The Niners are going to ease him in coming off that torn ACL, but they didn't put him on PUP. Otherwise, he would have had to have missed the first 4 games. And if you put him on PUP, he misses that time, you know that he's going to be able to come back at some point after that. Now, on the other side of that, you have him on the active roster because you expect him to be ready in the first 4 weeks of the season. If he's not, it's kind of bad roster mismanagement by San Francisco. Jair Brown, George Odom, Malik Mustafa, the other Niner safeties to make this initial 53. A lot more to get to here on the show. We're only ramping up, but first, if you want to support the show and support the Niners and rock this shirt, San Francisco, available right now at chatsports.com/SF. This has been a very popular shirt that we have sold here on the show, right here on the Niners Report. We've sent them all across America, over the Atlantic Ocean to England, over the Pacific Ocean to Australia. Shout out to our guy, Dave Towers, in Australia. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi for copping one of these. Got some for him and the family. So we'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. It's chatsports.com/SF, available in Niner red and black. All right, more to get to here. Tom Pelissero with this, saying that the Niners are signing defensive end Jonathan Garvin to the practice squad per his agency LAA. He had played very well at the UFL level. I actually thought that he had some impressive pass rushing opportunities throughout the preseason, so a quality practice squad addition there. And then Chase Lucas was also with this team during the preseason. He is a very good gunner on special teams. I would not be surprised if he gets activated from the practice squad to the active game day roster early in the year, because he's always been a very good special teamer, really thrived in that role with the Detroit Lions, was beefing with the Niners, actually, after the NFC Championship game. There was a near fight that broke out, but I like the feistiness that he has, and again, the special teams ability, very important. The Niners struggled in that category throughout the preseason. They have to get better with their return coverage. And then some tweets from Matt Barrows here. The 49ers going to bring back guard and center Ben Barch, who they cut yesterday per source. It's not clear yet whether he will join the practice squad or the active roster. I would imagine it's practice squad. And then another one from Matt Barrows. The Niners did lose their top undrafted rookie, Cody Schrader, the running back. He's going to the Los Angeles Rams. But they do intend to bring another UDFA back who did not make the initial 53. That's defensive tackle Evan Anderson. He's coming back to the practice squad after the draft. The Niners gave him $280,000. So that was practice squad money. They clearly like the player. And then I threw out some thoughts out there and some news that the Niners had 3 players claimed off waivers who didn't make their roster, but have been signed to active rosters across the NFL. It does include 6th-round pick out of USC, Jarrett Kingston, who played tackle last year. The Niners had him playing guard. He performed very well in the preseason. I was actually surprised that he didn't make the 53. If I was running the show, Nick Sakel hasn't shown me anything. I guess the Niners like his positional versatility to play guard and center, but he constantly got bulldozed when he was filling in for Aaron Banks. I would have kept Jarrett Kingston over Nick Sakel. He got claimed by the Panthers, so he's going to be on that active roster. I thought he showed a lot of promise throughout the preseason. The 49ers did have a crowded defensive back room, and that's why Samuel Womack didn't make the team. He has slot capabilities and potential there. When he was playing in college, he made a lot of plays on the football. So the Colts signed him, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets some special teams snaps and potentially some snaps in that secondary in the slot, because I do think that he has a place on an NFL roster. And then Cody Schrader getting poached by the Rams. The Niners did elect to keep Patrick Taylor over him. Patrick Taylor, special teams ability in coverage and as a returner. He's a tall running back. We didn't get to see him a lot throughout the preseason because he was injured, so that was a little bit of a surprise for him to make the initial 53. And with Kingston, the 49ers kept John Feliciano on the initial 53. Wouldn't surprise me if they put him on short-term IR, but they kept Feliciano on the 53, and that's the reason why they let Jarrett Kingston go. With this new NFL short-term IR rule, I would have put Feliciano on short-term IR to keep Jarrett Kingston, and then you evaluate things as the weeks go by, but the Niners didn't see it the same way that I saw. The Niners were last or second to last, by the way, in the waiver claim order list, so they did not claim any players off waivers. But I will say, I think it's a shout-out to your scouting department. If you have some of your players get signed to active rosters by other teams. We saw this last year with Il Manning, the offensive lineman. It just goes to show you that you had some talent that other teams were interested in, and that's why they signed those players to their active rosters. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, be on the lookout. More roster moves will likely come today. We'll break them all down here on the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report.